Welcome to the conversation. And today, my guest is Kelly Suttell. She is an integrative healing facilitator who helps individuals overcome life's obstacles and reconnect with the flow of life, fostering a sense of calm, resourcefulness, and optimism. She believes that addressing and healing physical, emotional, energetic, ancestral, karmic, or spiritual blockages is essential for reconnecting with our innate wisdom and living a healthy, fulfilling life. And it is her honor to support and guide others on their healing journeys. I hope you enjoy the conversation today. Come along with us as we dive into the fascinating world of sound, exploring its many dimensions, blending the best of both worlds to uncover the secrets of sound, voice, and vibration. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the conversation again. Today, I am very honored to welcome Kelly Suttell. And Kelly and I met on Alignable, of all places. It was one of those sessions, right, where you do like a quick connect, where you just all of a sudden you're thrown into a Zoom room with another person. You don't know who's going to come up, but surprise, surprise, there they are. And Kelly and I just felt this connection with one another. We're both Pisces, so we're Pisces sisters. So that kind of helps, right? But
For sure.
we just felt this beautiful connection with one another. And we decided to do some collaboration. We used to do guided meditation with sound, virtual sound events a while back, and now we are still in contact with one another, thankfully. And I asked her to come on the program today. And welcome, Kelly.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you so much for having me. I just absolutely appreciate our connection, and I always love conversations with you. So thank you for having me, and thank you for doing all of the behind the scenes work to bring our conversation to others.
My pleasure, Kelly. Always, and
Thank
my
you.
honor. Absolutely. So I always like to start it off with asking my guests really how they get involved in the work that they do. And Kelly, would you please just say your title again and give us a little bit of a back? I've already given folks a little bit of a background, but if you can just elaborate on that, please. And what made you turn to rather the healing arts?
Sure. Yes. So, the work that I'm doing right now is integrative healing facilitation. And it is a way to help and support people to remove obstacles that get in the way of the flow of life. And these obstacles can be um, mental patterns, emotional patterns, repeated family trauma patterns. They can be a sense of feeling disconnected from oneself or one's spirit. Um, and it involves helping people to get to a little bit of an understanding and a place of peace within themselves about what this block may be about or what may be holding them back. So that feels a little bit ambiguous in some sense. But an example of that may be that someone is having a repeated pattern in a relationship, and they're noticing that regardless of which relationship they're in, that pattern seems to make itself known. It can be a relationship with oneself. So, for example, it can be a repeated mental pattern or an opinion of oneself that may be dysregulating for our nervous system, for our emotional body, for our mental body, and our spirit. And so, through conversation and asking core questions, my intention is to be able to listen deeply to others, to help them to identify or get to something that may be a little deeper in causing them this obstacle in their life or this sense of feeling held back.
Hmm.
And I think you asked me, Ruth, how I came about this work.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It has been, so I would say probably over the past 20 years, and even longer than that, I have been on an internal quest. So when I was about 11 years old, um, currently in my mid 40s, but when I was about 11 years old, I started experiencing back pain. And I remember being in the kitchen with my mom, and we would be making a salad or dinner or something. And I remember standing on the floor, the hardwood floor, and just feeling this deep ache in my back. And so this continued on, and she took me to an osteopath. And the osteopath took a look at my spine, did some tests, and said, you have scoliosis and spondylolisthesis. And he sent me to Children's Hospital to get a plastic corset, told me to keep my core strong and never do gymnastics, and kind of patted me on the back and said, that's life. Interestingly, as I got older in my late teens and early 20s, my back pain increased significantly to the point of having herniated discs in my neck and back every 4 or 5 months. And this turned into taking heavy rounds of medication, lots of physical therapy, lots of rehabilitation. It would always take me about 6 weeks to heal from a herniated disc or a bulging disc. And after that 6 weeks was over, there was like a period of hopefulness that, oh, this is never going to come back. But sure enough, it kept repeating. So I would be on this cycle of having a herniated disc in my back, taking heavy medications and going through a rehabilitating program, and then it would happen again. And so over time, all of this medication started to affect my digestive system, which not only affected my digestive system, but also, as we know from studying the microbiome, it affected my mental state as well. So here I was in a physical, mental, emotional, stuck place. I was not healing from these disc bulges, and the prognosis was just keep taking medication to help get through the pain of the circumstance. And I was in my mid-20s at this time, and I knew that that trajectory in life was not one that I wanted to be on, because as I got older, it didn't seem like this was going to go away. And so through a biofeedback process, I met a psychologist who said, hey, have you ever considered a yoga practice? And I just thought, have you seen me? I'm in so much pain. How could I possibly move my body in yoga? But I was very curious, and I was about at the end of my rope in a very dark place with so much physical pain. I had given myself an ulcer, which had given me acid reflux, and I was having panic attacks while I was working, which was not conducive to trying to help my career. And so I decided, let's try yoga. Very, very slowly, over a course of time, my physical body started to feel better just from the sense of moving my body. And from that point, I got very curious of, okay, I'm seeing my physical body is starting to heal. How do I heal the internal system, the ulcer and the panic attacks that are happening? And so I worked with a naturopath, and slowly, very slowly, we started to peel away the little root issues that were causing that. And interestingly, what manifests in our mind and emotions can also manifest in our body. And so in addition to the yoga, I was also getting very curious about how to resolve underlying unconscious emotional and mental patterns that may be causing back pain. And that led me to two primary teachers who have just been stalwarts in my learning experience, both Marie Manuchehari and Susan Pulling. And both have taught me a significant amount about how our mental and emotional states affect our energy, which then affects our physical body. So it was really through Marie that I learned this information and let that really process until I was able to understand that deeply. And then it was through Susan that I started learning modalities of how to work with other people if they may be going through similar circumstances. So how to ask the questions, how to connect with people, to really deeply hear what they may be going through, to work with those little pieces within them that can help to start to shift their energy, their emotional and mental patterns, to bring them back to a sense of feeling unblocked or feeling well.
Hmm. That's quite a journey. Even though we've been connected, I've never heard your full story before.
Mm.
That's at 11 as a child. Oh, oh. And I think a lot of times we are unfortunately conditioned to think of these like ailments, conditions as lifelong, lifelong things we're going to have to deal with, and just deal with it. Just deal with the pain. You're never going to really be able to walk well or lead a full life. And I think that all of those, obviously, those conditionings are like poisons that we ingest into our psyche, and it makes it true in our body. If you
Right.
believe that, right? Those. So it's very interesting, that you, despite all of that, and despite being so heavily medicated and so forth, that you were able to, say, no, not doing this. This is, as you say, the trajectory did not look promising for you. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So fascinating. And I love, love, love how those of us that gravitate towards the healing arts, as I said earlier, always come from the pain. We come from being having to to pull ourselves up out of very difficult situations ourselves, so that we can then share our experiences with others to help them. So I've seen that across the board. I'm sure you have too, right? It's just everybody,
Yes,
yeah, they all have their stories.
absolutely.
So, you have, I'm looking at your website here, and you have done so many things, PEMF therapy, Reiki, meditation, energy work, constellation therapy, which Kelly and I just had a session with her last week, family constellation therapy, which is fascinating. We're going to get into that a little bit. So if you want to hang out with us for a little bit longer, later on in the video, Kelly was going to offer a guided meditation to ask for ancestral support, which I think will be really beautiful and very profound, knowing her. So yes, so we did have a session together, and I thought that was pretty amazing. Uh, and my issue has always been self-love. I think my issue, and many of us have had a lot of issues with that. So if you want to just dive right into our session, I thought that would be kind of interesting for people to first understand a little bit about family constellation therapy. You kind of touched on that a little bit before, but just to explain it a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, absolutely. So, family constellation therapy, which also goes by the name of systemic constellation, it was really developed and brought to kind of Europe and to the West by Bert Hellinger. Bert Hellinger was a German psychologist who spent time in South Africa with the Zulu just after World War II. And The idea behind family constellation therapy is that we are all deeply connected to our family system and to an energetic system. And as a side note, yoga also acknowledges this, that we are deeply connected to an energetic system. We're all essentially consciousness. And so in family constellation therapy, the idea is to work towards understanding what may be a concern for a client, whether that is, as you mentioned, a case of needing more self-love. Perhaps it is a pattern in a family of a dysregulated relationship with money. Perhaps it's a sense of feeling a sense of indebtedness or unworthiness. Perhaps there have been miscarriages in the family, and so siblings don't feel like they're in the right order. Or perhaps a child feels a responsibility to take care of a parent. Those are examples of things that can come about in a constellation session. But the idea is that as we are deeply connected to our family system through epigenetics and through the energetic connection, we need to acknowledge the pattern that exists, that continues to repeat on in our life, our current life. And we need to acknowledge that pattern and leave that pattern with its rightful owner. So, for example, if we had a parent who had a very difficult time in their relationship with themselves, perhaps they did something that they couldn't forgive themselves for. And then we are their offspring, and we pick that up from our parent because either we intuit that from our parent as a young one, or we know that we consciously know that they're carrying that. We need to very gently, gracefully, and kindly hand back their experience to them so that they can own that experience and leave that with them. There's this beautiful phrase in the constellation field that it's strengthening when we can hold our own fate. And so instead of passing our fate and our experiences through the generations, it's strengthening for us to acknowledge and resolve that within our lifetime so that that doesn't repeat epigenetically through the generations. Yeah, so that's a little bit about constellation. It's really kind of getting at the unconscious energetics within a family that may be passed along.
Mm-hmm. I was just listening to a video with Eileen Day McCusick, if you're familiar with her. She does,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
wonderful.
beautiful.
She does really some fabulous videos. She tunes you up on the video.
Yes.
But she was talking about how I can't remember who she went to now. It'll come to me, but it's somebody who's out there who does very similar family ancestral healing work. And he said that she thought it was like stuff that kept coming up for her. There was going to be maybe one or two generations, and they found that it was 22 generations back.
Fascinating. Yes.
So
Yeah.
we don't know what we're carrying forward and taking on. That is not ours.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
And
I'm
it's
sorry.
yeah, no. You mentioned the word earlier, conditioning.
Mm,
And conditioning comes through family, it comes through society, through culture, it comes through gender. Conditioning comes in all different ways. And if we can think about when we're very young, we are highly intuitive, highly porous. We often say children are sponges.
porous. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so
Yes,
we're picking
yes.
up through our porousness, we're picking up all of those little spoken and unspoken conditioning expectations, and we start to carry those forward.
Mm, mm,
One
mm.
of the things that I've learned in that conditioning process is it runs in the background. And
Oh,
so our mind,
sorry,
yeah,
like a computer will programs will
yes,
be running in the background, of course.
yes,
So,
exactly. And so our mind can't actually really access that information. And the mind kind of gets bored by the concept of that information. So, for example, the mind will diminish the aspect of working with self-love of like, yeah, I can just repeat a phrase to myself and I will access self-love. But the really important aspect is this is where integrative healing comes in, is that it's not just the mind saying, okay, I cognitively understand this. It's also moving the emotions and noticing how the physical body can get a sense of release, like a somatic experience. And all three of those help to shift the energy of what we're experiencing as conditioning.
yeah, it's a more holistic approach because yes, and I, whenever I've done any work on myself, and you have, as they say, feelings coming up in your body, but then what do you do with the way you feel? How do
Yeah.
you process that? How do you transmute it? And do you push it away? Do you pack it away in a closet somewhere so you don't have to look at it again? Don't deal with it. So we're not really taught how to manage, as they say, managing emotions, manage feelings. There's so many wonderful, wonderful modalities now coming out, like the ones that you are practicing, that are helping us be in the body, allow ourselves to
Yeah.
be in the body, to use the body to transmute those emotions and with very simple ways. I mean, that's what I work with, the voice with somatic movement. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, running around yelling. I don't know. It's like it's that simple. Or
Yes.
just sitting and soothing yourself, with your hands, self-soothing and making soothing sounds like you talk to a little child,
Yes.
was in need of comfort. People don't realize that's what's going to help, as you say, that like the third step to release it finally, to put it in a
Yes.
place where it's not mine. I can let this go. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
well,
Yeah, there's something that you mentioned that is soothing the body and soothing the body, hands on the body, sound, as you so beautifully offer for people. And the mind, bless it, it often says, oh, those are just temporary. But I would like to pose the question of what is temporary really? What is reality really? Do we over-index on our mind and giving our mind so much credit? Or can we sit in a moment and feel the beauty of sound and feel the beauty of connecting with a pet or a friend, feel that fully in our body and make that our reality?
mm,
Because we don't have to come back to the stories that repeat in our mind. We can come back to that deep connected sensation in the body that feels calm, supported, expansive, spacious. That is the place where we allow healing to really happen. And the mind is so quick to dismiss, oh, that's just a moment where I felt relaxed.
mm,
Well, what if that moment could become your dominant reality rather than shifting back to what the mind is telling you?
really excellent point. Because I think yeah, and especially in our instant society, lately I've been called to lie and sit on the ground outside. And since it's really, really warm here in the Northeast now and seasonably warm in November, I'm able to do that. And that feeling, as you were saying, Kelly, of just allowing yourself to be in that moment, to look up at the sky, to listen to the birds, to
Yeah.
feel the beautiful sun on my body, the warmth of the earth still. And that's enough.
Right.
you know,
Right. Yes.
that, and I am enough in that moment.
Right. For sure.
That is my purpose in that moment, is just to be. And I don't think we're all, I just went to I was telling Kelly earlier, I went to a workshop last night about archetypes and finding your soul's purpose. And oh my God, it was very well attended, because everybody's like, what the hell am I doing here? What's my life about? I have to do something. I have to be here for a reason. Do you
Yeah.
really? Do you really? Can't you just be here?
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, that's a beautiful opening into um the concepts of presence and being, and really the concept of consciousness if we extrapolate that out. But some of the most important moments that we have are when we are fully present with another person or another being, a pet or a plant, um, the earth, when you're in the grass and you feel the sun. That present moment allows for you to recognize that you are not your mind, that you're not the stories in the emotional patterns. When the body is receiving this energetic connection from earth or another beloved, that is what life is all about. And that can shift us, can catapult us into just an expansive place where we're living in true joy. And true joy is really a place of expanded consciousness. Yeah.
Yes, and wonderment.
Wonderment. Yes. Childlike wonder is what I like to call it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the innocent that we are, the innocence of our souls.
The absolute innocence. And we look at all children and, um, baby animals. We see their innocence. There's a spark in them that we recognize. And we also have that. Goes back to what you said about conditioning. So, how do we remove the layers of that conditioning to get us back to that joyous place?
Yes. Mm.
Yeah, I love our conversations, Ruth.
Me too. And even better that we're sharing that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I was just going to share a little bit about what my impressions were of Kelly's work that I did with her last week. We had a beautiful session, and I had no idea what to expect. Um, and it was so interesting. She had me, and this is just what I remember. So, but
Yeah.
she had
Please
me
go ahead.
she had me picking out a few of the objects that were in my studio. I was in my sound studio. So of course I had crystals, and all that. So I had this beautiful crystal. I had this wonderful throat chakra spray, and I love seashells and the ocean. So I had a seashell, and I have this gorgeous little figurine. She is just so beautiful that actually my ex-mother-in-law, you probably can't see, it's washed out, but my ex-mother-in-law gave me, and we're still in contact, and I love her. So how it worked out was that Kelly would ask me questions, like, does does the how does the crystal feel being close to the throat chakra spray? And it was really just me being, and that was on her part. These are all very intuitive questions. And then I would answer first thing that popped into my mind without, questioning, like, saying how weird this is or anything. I would just, because I'm used to doing that. So I just popped out what I would feel. And the questioning went on like that for the session. And then she basically would talk to me afterwards, after it was finished with the questioning, and she would tell me what each of the items signified. How am I doing so far? Okay.
Great. You're doing great.
Okay.
Yes, you've got it.
And the items, and a big piece of what was coming up was my relationship with my mom, and which translated into my own relationship with me, with how I felt about me. And the figurine was my mom. And I was, not surprisingly, the throat chakra spray. And self-love, I think this was self-love was the crystal. And then I can't remember what the shell was, but it really was, my mom was a beautiful spirit. She died at 62 of cancer. And there was so much, fraught with so much angst in our relationship. She married my dad. He was an alcoholic, so we had alcoholic family dynamic. There was all that going on, and she never felt good about herself. So she
Mhm.
modeled a woman for me who was my primary mommy, who I loved with all my heart and looked up to. Mommy doesn't feel good about herself. She would say things about herself. I remember her saying, Carolyn, you're a dog looking in the mirror at herself.
Mm.
Right? It's like, what a thing for a child to hear your mother saying. How did I have such beautiful children? You know, uh, so and that played itself out in a lot of different ways in her life, and not standing up for herself at work and stuff like that. I would give
Mhm.
her pep talks before she went out the door to work, you know,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
child parenting the parent.
right,
Uh,
right.
so anyway, so that is what I had to, Kelly guided me then to release, give that back to my mom, to
Yeah,
give that back and to say, yes, I know, this is something that you dealt with in life, but it's complete now. It's finished. And I didn't say the words I give it back, but it was some other thing you had said that was more appropriate for the moment. But it was, yeah. And she's been gone a long time now. So it's amazing. I think that she needed to be in that session as well. I mean, her spirit
yeah,
for me to complete with her is helping her move on and heal, even in this, because of the multidimensional nature of our souls, right?
yes,
So you're healing them, you're healing these other family members while you're helping to heal yourselves. Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Thank you for sharing, Ruth.
Mm,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that experience with me and also sharing that with the listeners. I think there's content there that will resonate for a lot of people, no doubt about it.
mhm.
Yeah,
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 because and that showed itself up in my life all over the place.
yeah,
Not good enough, body image, definitely body image thing. Yeah, sure, sure. And just holding myself back in certain ways. Um,
yeah. When we're young, we're just, as I mentioned, just so porous. And so when we see or hear or intuit patterns in family who are our closest connection to love, then we model those behaviors in a sense of gaining acceptance of their love. And so there's a sense of loyalty towards acting in the same way, doing the same things that earn us acceptance, therefore love in our family unit.
oh, sure.
And
Imitation
yeah,
is the highest form of flattery, right? There's
absolutely.
and you love your
Yes.
parents. You're right. What else would you know? You come into this already way of being in this world as this innocent, as we said earlier, right? This innocent
Yes.
who has you just everything's like wow, and you're completely connected to everything. You're connected to you think your body is part of the outside world. You think you're part of your mom, your dad. You haven't like separated. There's no separation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. And then you start to separate this, because we're told, oh no, this is mom, this is dad, this is you. That's your poop. You don't play in it, which I did.
Right. Yeah.
Right? How many babies do that, right? They
Lessons,
smear
life lessons.
themselves, smear themselves with their own poop,
Yeah.
because it's like,
Yes.
oh, hey, this is great.
Yes.
I
Yes.
haven't learned that you're not supposed to do that. Oh, it's so cute, right? Not fun for my mom to clean up, but
No, no. The funny thing is, this is also such a deep teaching in yoga as well. So we often think of yoga as just the physical practice that we see in classes where we see the yoga poses and asana. But the reality is that yoga means connecting the individual with the higher consciousness. So there's this concept of Purusha, which is universal consciousness. It is all that ever was, is, and could be. And we are individual consciousness, Prakriti, in individual forms. We have been, as you mentioned, separate. We've been separated. And so we look at kind of our family unit as that universal consciousness in some way, and we become separate from that. And in that separation, yoga would say, is the suffering.
mm,
So that separation and that desire for acceptance back to family, back to universal consciousness is our goal. And so we're constantly kind of learning our way back to that. And that we learn these things like playing in our own poop as kids or falling down to learn that, oh, actually, we may feel separate, but the consciousness within is never separate. And that is a profound kind of pursuit um, through the yoga practice. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I failed to mention, but I will, that you and your partner Raj have a beautiful yoga studio in Portland, Oregon, and you do retreats. You're going to India, right? Coming up very
Yes.
shortly. You do teacher training. Kelly herself is a master teacher trainer, right? Yoga teacher trainer. I'm not sure what that's called, sorry, but
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
and yeah, and you do so many, you have just wonderful offerings. I hope, I'll put all that down in the description. But yeah, it's pretty amazing to me how this all I think a lot of our pain has come from the longing for that connection again. A lot of our inner
Yes,
pain in general, um, it's the separation.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And we even see that in society.
yes.
It's us versus them. They're over there, I'm over here. Separation aspect of things can cause a lot of pain.
Would
Yeah,
you like to lead us in a short meditation?
absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. So, there are a couple of things that can be helpful for people as they're moving through daily life. And one is, as we talked about a little earlier, one is the concept of presence. So, really being present, experiencing the person that you're speaking with, um, being on the earth, feeling the sun on your face, on your skin, connecting with a pet or a partner. So being present is one. Another thing that can be really helpful to support people in their healing process is what is called resourcing. And the meditation we'll do in just a moment is based on the idea of resourcing. And you can think of resourcing as when you were a little one and maybe had a favorite stuffed animal or maybe had a favorite blanket. You felt like you were a superhero. You had your stuffed animal and you could conquer the world, or you had your blanket and you had a cape on and you were invincible. And the idea with resourcing is to whether it is real or imagined, to have a sense of feeling deeply supported in what you're doing. In the shamanic practices, things like using a power animal or a spirit animal. And in this meditation, we'll do in just a moment is using or resourcing a healed ancestor through the maternal line and through the paternal line. And so how you would use this resource is whenever you are in a time of stress or difficulty, or when you need to call on support, perhaps think of it as like a guardian angel. You can imagine this ally through the maternal and paternal line and imagine them standing behind you and supporting you. And that alone can shift our mental, emotional state to where we're feeling like that superhero in that moment. We're feeling resourced. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm smiling because a few years back, a friend of mine who is psychic, medium, sees people who have passed, like they're standing right in front of her, like they're fully formed. She's amazing. She and I were speaking one time, and I think she said it was, and we were having a very deep conversation, and she said, "I have to tell you," she said, "what I'm seeing behind you right now, your mother is behind you with her hands on your shoulders. Her
Mm.
mother is behind her with her hands on her shoulders. Your great grandmother's hands are on your grandmother's." And she said, and I see this line going all the way back of these women that are supporting you and are so proud of you. That
Yeah.
blew my mind. So that brought that up.
It gives me
Me
chills.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That gives me chills. I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy to lead that. That may be a short 5-ish minute guided process.
Oh, that would be wonderful, Kelly. It'd be so, I think it'd be very helpful for everyone.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So let's do it. So wherever anyone is, hopefully they're not driving at the moment, but they can take a moment to kind of settle into their seat and lower their gaze or even close their eyes. And with the eyes closed or the gaze soft, starting to bring your awareness into your body. So noticing the tactile sense of your sitting bones connected to your chair, noticing the tactile sense of the clothing on your skin. And as you're seated here, notice if you can develop an awareness of your breath. No need to change the breath, just developing an awareness of it. So maybe you notice the breath is more in the collarbones and the top of the lungs. Maybe you notice that your belly is gently moving in and out with the breath. And however you're breathing in this moment, see if you can direct your awareness into the center of your heart space. So right at the sternum, center of the chest. And deepen your breath in this area of the body. So now starting to deepen your breath directly into your heart space. Just really focusing the mind on breathing into the heart. And from your heart, imagine reaching over your right shoulder reaching through your paternal line, so through your father, seeing your father, your father's father, and your father's father's father. And as you reach over your right shoulder through your paternal line, notice who comes or what comes to your awareness. It could be a person, a place, or a thing. And trust yourself in whatever may arise for you in this visualization. And whatever has arisen over your right shoulder and through the paternal line, offering acknowledgement and gratitude for their presence. And then returning back over your right shoulder and back into your heart. And breathing into your heart. From your heart, reaching over your left shoulder through the maternal line. So through your mother's mother, and your mother's mother's mother. Reaching for a healed ancestor on the maternal line. And again, it can be a person, a place, or a thing. Something that offers a healing resource through the maternal line. And whatever or whomever may have come, offering an acknowledgement and gratitude for their presence. And returning back over your left shoulder, one final time, returning back into your heart. And from your heart, feeling a sense of presence over the paternal and maternal line of a healing ancestor or a healing ally. And acknowledging that ally with a sense of gratitude. And then slowly returning your awareness back to your breath. Feel the breath as it comes in through the nose, into the body, the lungs. Feel the breath as it exits the lungs, back through the nose. Returning a sense of feeling connected to your seat, your sitting bones. Feeling a sense of connection back to your clothing on your skin. And we'll close this guided visualization with 3 deep breaths. With each breath returning more and more to the sensation of the body, more and more to the sensation of breath. And then as you complete your 3 breaths, gently opening the eyes and returning back to your day.
I hardly want to talk right now. That was so centering. Um, Beautiful. I envisioned on my paternal side, my dad came forward. My dad's been gone since I was 17. Came
Mm.
forward and took my hand and put it to his head.
Oh, sweet.
And then I did a group hug with my dad and my grandfather I never knew and his father, and we just did a group hug. And I thanked them. That was so beautiful. And then on my
Yeah.
mom's side, her dog, Sis, I used to call her my sister because, my mother loved her so much. Phoebe was her name, a little Cocker Spaniel, adorable little
Mm.
dog. I have guilt about it. After she died, I had to take care of the dog, and I don't feel like I took very good care of the dog, but she came forward, Sissy came forward, and I held her, and she licked me all over my
Oh,
face and
sweet.
wiggled, and yeah, that was very wonderful. That was definitely it was like for nothing to forgive, nothing to forgive,
Yeah, right.
let it go.
Right.
Yeah. But that
Yeah.
was through my mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
How
her dog.
beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Ruth.
Oh, that was a beautiful, beautiful experience, Kelly. Thank you. What a beautiful
Yeah, my
meditation.
pleasure. My pleasure.
And I would love to hear if some of the viewers did that along with you. I would love to hear some of your experiences too. I think we'd both love to hear it. It's always wonderful to share. And also, I noticed, you know, don't discount what comes through
Yes.
or
Yes.
mind F it, It's
Yes. Yes.
because we tend to not trust that those intuitions, those impressions that we get like in our mind's eye. Uh,
Yeah.
so those are very valid, right? I mean, yeah.
It's so fascinating because we over-index in our mind
Mm.
of, oh, that's not real. Yet something very real has shown up for us that is very surprising, very mm, calming. And why would we discount that? If it makes our body feel calm and resourced and supported, and something very surprising has come, why is it that we give the mind so much power to qualify whether that is real or not real? How does the mind know?
Well, again, that's because we are coming from the idea that we are our mind, we are the
Right,
brain, um, and we're not.
right,
It's
right.
yeah, we're that
Yeah,
innocent, heart-centered energy, that consciousness.
yes,
And that's what sends you those pictures in your mind, those impressions,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I think the phrase Descartes gave the Western world, I think therefore I am, was a misdefinition of what really is there. I love Dr. David Hawkins' take on that,
Yes.
that it is I am, therefore I think. And so how do we break away from this? I keep calling it over indexing, but just over faith that our mind determines all. I would like to argue that it doesn't.
Mm. You'll get an argument from me on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you also have a beautiful offering. I believe it has to do with your Heartwise Living program, or it's like a little a free um, offering that you have, an event that you hold, and it's unfortunately too late for me to attend with the time change. Maybe someday I'll have to stay up late, and I'm going to have to drink a little coffee to stay up late and catch. But I'd love to, if you can, describe that, because I think folks would love to attend that if they can.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It is a little late. It's on Monday nights at 8 p.m. and it's called the Karuna Circle. And Karuna is a term for compassion. And so it's a compassion circle that meets weekly on Mondays, 8 p.m. on Zoom. And Each week we do a compassion meditation technique, and that compassion can be for others or it can also be for self. And so some of the techniques that we've done is sending kindness to others. It is Tonglen meditation techniques, which are kind of removing suffering from others. It is, yeah, so many beautiful offerings that are guided experiences to help people feel calm and offer kindness into the world, like the energy of kindness into the world. And it's been going strong since January this year. We have several beautiful souls who join us weekly for that. So yeah, that's on Monday nights. And then the Heartwise Living program that starts in January. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, definitely look on Kelly's website. I will have all the links. And maybe if you can give me a link for that, the Karuna Circle, I'd love to put
Yes.
that in the description as well for people to join up with that. And, I feel like we could just keep going and going and going because you are such a wealth, really, Kelly, you are such a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. There's such, that you have what you and calm. You have this beautiful, grounded presence. I know people have told you that before, I'm sure.
Mm,
But just being in your presence is calming in and of itself.
mm.
So
Thank you, Ruth.
you're
Yeah.
such a gift, really, such a gift to the world.
Yeah, Ruth, thank you so much. I'm just so grateful for our connection, and I appreciate all that you do in the world as well. I know that you're offering such wonderful things for people to help them get back into their body, calibrate their body, and shift their energy. So, yeah, it's a pleasure to be connected with you in all the ways.
Likewise, Kelly, my honor.